By the time I woke up Saturday morning and saw that I had been robbed, I don't know how to describe it. I felt like I was floating. I felt like I had left my body. I started looking around to see if it could be behind the bushes or anything. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was planning my show in LA. It was close to Christmas, and like a lot of shows, I was working on some new work. I had most of the work ready, and I wanted to include some new work. That pushed me finishing the work till close to Christmas, and by the time we got around arranging shipments, I only had a couple days to figure out how to get the work there, so I just had to drive it. Yeah, so I rented a U-Haul, and it was a nice drive. I have shots. I was driving at day and at night and taking shots out the window and dreaming about it. So I had stopped a couple hours away from LA, and I had just driven through Indio, I guess, and I caught signs for Motel 6, and one of the signs that I saw that was lit up on the building said, "Here Wi-Fi." And but in my tired 2 days of long driving state of mind, I read it as free Wi-Fi. I woke up, I checked out of the motel, and almost got right in the U-Haul, but I walked around the back. I was going to check one more time to make sure nothing had shifted. I'd been checking the whole trip, and as I walked around, the door was all the way up. There was pink foam scattered around my packing material, and everything was gone. Basically everything was gone besides a couple large pieces stuck in the back that I'm guessing whoever couldn't fit in their truck. I felt like I lost everything. I would have rather have lost my house. It's not even about the money. It's who you are. It's your life. I had no clue what had happened. As far as I knew, it was sitting out in the desert somewhere. So I was checking the weather reports. I was wanting it not to rain because I was picturing it sitting somewhere in the desert, that someone had gotten it, didn't know what to do with it. I mean, who steals art, contemporary art, unless, and I started getting a little bit paranoid, unless someone had been following me, I was paranoid. I was glad that Hampton was with me on the second drive, because a couple days later we got the new show, we rented another U-Haul and drove again. And this time, luckily, Hampton was driving. Along this second leg of this trip with Hampton, we were unloading everything from the U-Haul and sleeping with it in our room. As soon as we got to the hotel, I wanted to check the email, and I saw that I had an email from someone, from Greg, saying that I own Thanksgiving, one of the pieces that had been stolen. "Hi Rusty, I own this piece, and it has sustained some minor damage. It was mishandled in storage and has a tear on one of the raised areas. It is fairly minor and not really noticeable due to the construction of the piece. My gut instinct is to leave it as is, but wanted to get your opinion. Thanks." Well, he didn't know this, but I mean, it had only been handled with gloves on, and to think that it was somehow mishandled in storage, and what kind of storage, and he had bought it, and here I had been planning and struggling to make the work, to show it and hopefully sell it, but my work takes years. He told us that he bought the work at the Angel View Thrift Mart. I called the thrift store, and because I don't want him selling anything else, and the guy, the manager, Louis, I told him, explained the situation. He said, "Oh yeah, there's another one here by the register. There's just a few left, but I think we've sold everything. I think everything's gone." He said that they had found 3 pieces and that I wasn't allowed to look at them. Well, when the cops got there, he talked to Louis for a while and then finally let me in and said that the work still had to travel on to the next stop, their warehouse. And so I was talking to the warehouse, a dispatcher at the warehouse, and he said, "Oh yeah, we did see a little bit of that work come through because they were shredding a couple pieces." And I said, "Shredding?" He said, "Yeah, we just had a warehouse, a cleaning of the warehouse." Then I really didn't want the 3 pieces to go to the warehouse where I was afraid they would get shredded. They finally let me in the back so I could at least wrap up the 3 small pieces that were still there. And I found out that the people that dropped off the work, whoever had dropped off the work, hadn't got any kind of tax receipts, hadn't got any kind of money. They didn't get anything for it. They just dropped it off and said, "Oh, we've got something else in storage, we'll be right back," and then didn't show up. They didn't show back up. So somehow they were just trying to get rid of the evidence and disappear. And so basically I felt like I'd had, 4 years worth of my life taken, looked at, and put in a thrift store and, shredded and whatever. And the prices on the work, I had 3 pieces. Greg bought 3 pieces valued at $30,000 for $80. I mean, the prices on the pieces were less than what any, Kmart would have on its art. And this warehouse that had shredded some of the work was in Palm Springs. So I got there and talked to Shelley, the manager there, and she had the work all bundled up in the office like I had left it, and like I'd left it in Indio. And so I talked to her. I was relaxed seeing at least something there sitting next to me. But as time went on, and we were looking through my catalog, and she was interested, and it was getting close to 5, and I had called the police at 3 when I got there, and they were supposed to meet me there and do the exchange. Well, they weren't coming, and about 5 o'clock they were going to have to close, and Shelley started talking about, well, maybe you could come back out tomorrow. And each trip out into the desert, it's 2 hours one way, and with doing all the other stuff, it was a full day. And so I kind of lost it. I said, "I cannot believe that you need to do your paperwork when you obviously didn't need any paperwork to accept the work. And Louis doesn't have any paperwork that he made afterwards to show who received it. But somehow I need paperwork to recover it when I have all this proof. I have the catalogs, I have the police reports showing pictures of me packing it into the U-Haul, and it was insane." So finally, I asked if I could buy the work, and so she sold it to me. She tried to sell it to me for $50 a piece, which is super cheap. But I had to haggle that down because there is no way that Louis would have sold it for $50. So I got him for like $10 a piece.
She knew it was yours?
Yeah.
And she still haggled with you?
Yeah. Well, she was going to sell it to me for $50 a piece. And I wasn't going to pay $150 for work that was mine that I shouldn't have to be paying anything for, especially when these other huge pieces had been sold for $20, $40. And I had these little pieces, and she was going to charge me. Anyway, none of it makes sense. But I finally left. I finally walked out, I don't know, 6 at night or so. I finally was able to buy the 3 pieces. But I had talked to Greg on the way. We talked to him on the phone. He said, well, I'm here in Cathedral City, which is, really close. And so we went out to his house, and he had 3 pieces. Palm Angel actually had no damage on it. And it was the largest one. It's 6 foot by 4 foot. And he said that he had strapped it to the top of his Jeep and driven home with it that way. And that would just freak me out to watch it. But that was the one piece that I could then show in LA at the LA Art Show. I wanted to pay him back the $80, and he wouldn't hear of it. He just didn't want it. He felt so bad. He felt bad for my situation. He just wanted to help however he could. If I wouldn't have been there to pick up the work, I think he would have shipped it back. He even offered to keep going into the thrift mart to check to see if anything else showed up. Right now, I've gotten back 6 out of 17 pieces. I'm mad at myself sometimes that I didn't think everything through and that I let it happen. I'm pissed off at myself. It's just gotten me to rethink about my artwork and how big a part of my life it is, which sounds weird to say because of course I'm an artist. It is a big part of my life, but it just kind of taught me how much it is. I don't know. I've been trying to figure out how it's going to affect my artwork, and I don't know. I don't know, but I have a feeling it'll feel more personal. I don't know how to describe it, but usually my work is very much in my head, and my artwork is almost a windshield or a wall in between me and the world, and I always have this division, and to have the world come in like that and just mess up my stuff, I don't know. It makes me a little more interested in the world. I've been into a few thrift stores since then now. I've never been into one before. I've been into a few. But we'll see. I imagine it will affect things.